Hey gamers, Maniac here with GameAccess.net. It's been another Midsummer Fantasy Renaissance Faire. 2019 has just wrapped up, and I was lucky enough to get press passes to attend this year, so go figure, I guess I'm moving up in the world. I had a great time. The Midsummer Fantasy Renaissance Faire takes place in Warsaw Park in Ansonia in the state of Connecticut, of course. I've attended probably every single Midsummer Fantasy at least one time ever since around 2015 or so, give or take. And this year they held another one. There's going to be another one in 2020. If you missed this year's, make no mistake, there will be one next year certainly. And I wanted to give my review about this. But before I do, for those of you who might have attended, I guess it's a little appropriate that I put this on, huh? Yeah. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? This year was all dependent upon the trial. That was the big overarching story of the year. General Taraxis, this fanatical general from the Dominion, this fanatical Dominion general, was captured last year during the Battle of the Dominion, which the Dominion, of course, lost. The Sovereign is dead. The general will be put to trial for crimes against humanity, essentially. And that's where the story picks up for this year. General Taraxis was played by a phenomenal actor who totally looked like he was enjoying every second of hamming it up. So certainly props there. In the very first act, he demands trial by combat. I don't know if this was inspired by a certain episode of Game of Thrones, but I'll take it. It's not a bad episode. Yeah, so the whole overarching story about this is that the general demands trial by combat due to the laws as being interpreted. He has to get it. They don't want anybody to die over it, but several of the soldiers on our side want to fight, are willing to fight, and then plans are made, well, what happens if he wins? I don't want to spoil the story for anybody. Obviously, this year's event is over, but needless to say, in comparison to other stories that they've done, this was a very straightforward story, but I say that in a very good way. The general has some men in his liege or men from the Dominion that are there. Will they be able to free the general? Will the general want them to free him? That is the subplot of this story. And I would like to say that I thought it was resolved very well. I won't spoil anything. I'm sure if you want to post a comment below and say what your thoughts about it, if you attended or if you were a performer in there, you can give your own thoughts below. Just be aware that there may be spoilers in the comments section, but we're not going to spoil anything here. And again, those guys working for the Dominion as spies were, announced themselves literally in the very first couple seconds of the fair itself. So definitely props there. This is a story that stayed. Obviously, the general had been captured, and yes, he is a threat, certainly, but he is a captured threat. And the idea of putting him to trial is a happy thing, is a good thing, which I agree with. You want to put, guy captured, you're going to give him a fair trial. I don't know how people feel about trial by combat, but I think the rules about how fair that is not what we're going to talk about here. Anyways, so it was a great story. On the last day, which is the last Sunday of the, I was kind of watching the acts over the course of several, because I attended almost every single show, every single day that they performed. I actually witnessed, I was at the fair almost every day that it was running. And so I was kind of watching the story as much as I could. I was trying to stay into the story. And I did notice on the last day, the very last Sunday of the, they called it the Easter egg day, I think they called it. They added some giggle moments, and they added a couple of gags and stuff like that in the story. So I thought they were funny. I mean, like I said, this fair has never played to, I know there are some Renaissance fairs, and I've mentioned this before, and I forgot to mention it for this year, but this year certainly applies as previous years had. The Midsummer Fantasy Renaissance Faire is not a fair like King Richard's Fair, for example, which plays itself on historical accuracy. I've seen fairs that are very much in that vein. This is not that kind of fair. This is the kind of fair that's more inspired by the work of Tolkien, and oh god, there were tons of Game of Thrones references just by the people attending alone before we even get into the story and stuff like that. So once again, I have to say that it was a fantastic story. I love the ending. I love the Easter eggs on Sunday. I thought it was hilarious. The gags that they did for the final show, for the final day's shows was great. It was a great story this year. Probably one of their best stories. I'm kind of hesitant to say, but I kind of want to say this, that I think that the story that they did for the last day should have been the story the whole time. There, I said it. Okay, you can disagree with me. Where they were, okay, example of that final day story. Instead of the guy, the General Traxxas, he has this evil laugh. He does it quite a few times throughout the acts, and sometimes you'll see him being carried around on under guard, of course, bound, but he'll be doing his quote-unquote maniacal laugh. And on the last day, instead of actually laughing, he literally, with his group, as they were going through the fair, literally saying, maniacal laugh, maniacal laugh. And I at first thought, oh, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. So, props there. We talked a little bit more about the story than I was expecting to, but needless to say, I like the story. I don't know where it'll go from there. Like, they'll leave, like, somebody survive that could, have a threat, or something survive that could have had a threat. There were references to previous year's characters and things like that, some of which did not appear this year. Like, there were plenty of references to the Green Man, for example. He did not appear, as far as I could tell. So maybe there are these references are left open, like maybe the Green Man may return in the future, that sort of thing. I'm not certain. I'm not privy to the story, so I don't know where they may go from there for next year. But needless to say, it was a great year. Don't know where they'll go for next year, but that's kind of interesting because they can go anywhere they want for next year. So props there. So let's move on, and I want to talk a little bit about the acts, particularly because I had spread out. And let me just say this right now: I think I got the schedule right here, actually. Let's see. This was the year's program. This was like 2 days of schedules of events right here. Take a look at just how much was going on each day. And this was just over the course of 2 days. I attended, I believe, how many days did I attend? I think I attended 4 of the 6 days. Yeah, I attended 4 of the 6 days. The show went on for 6 days. There were 3 weekends, 2 days per weekend, obviously. I attended 4 of the 6 days that the fair was going on. And even I have to admit, I still did not see every single act, every single musical group, every single comedian, every single stunt show. There was just so much going on, so much to see, so much scheduled. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because there was something for everybody. And I cannot stress this enough. I am fine with that, because trust me on this. Whether you wanted to see music, whether you wanted to see comedy acts, whether you were interested in the fair story, whether you were interested in seeing like magicians or something like that, or stuntmen and things, whatever you want to call it. There was something every single hour that you could watch that you would enjoy. Guaranteed. You're like, oh, I want to see just the musical acts. You'd be there all day. Oh, I want to see just the magicians and the stuntmen. You'd be there all day. Oh, I want to watch just the story. You'd be there all day. And you would have a good time in every event. Every single time you go, for whatever it is that you saw. I mean, who was there this year? Daniel Greenwolf triumphantly returned this year. He has always been the huge crowd drawer in this event, and this year was no different. Daniel's crowds were like huge. And again, I went there 4 days, and every time Daniel was performing, this tent was completely full.
Sassy! Sassy step 2. This is the important part of the sassy. Here we go. Sassy!
Sassy T-Rex.
Yeah! Rarely seen in the wild, this sassy Tyrannosaurus Rex. Rah! Welcome to Jurassic Park. I'm going to bite you. Nom, 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 nom. Ooh, hello, Mr. Jeff Goldblum, with your shirt all open. All right, here we go. Sassy step 3. Wah! Sassy step 4. Wah! And sassy step 5. Sassy! Sassy, sassy, sassy. I'm just so sassy. Look at me, I'm sassy. I'm just so sassy. Sassy, sassy. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Wait, no, it's not. Watch, ready? Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Suck it, Trebek. All right.
Obviously, he was doing his acts, like his fire manipulation, fire breathing. Bella was there, his assistant, his wife. She was adorable, as always. They did. It was a great show. You know, he does a great show every year, and the word always goes around. Go see Daniel, and again, that was no different this year. Just go see a great show, and you'll laugh, and you'll be stunned when he does a great, fire trick, or he does a great, ta-da! Here it is. He always does a great show consistently at this fair, and I got to give props to him once again. I want to give props to another group that was there this year again, the Strangelove Sideshow.
And what you are about to witness is a very bizarre form of couples bonding. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to do the thing. And you are all going to go nuts. Are you ready?
Yeah!
This is the grand finale. Are you ready?
Yeah!
That's more like it. Here we go. 3, 1, 2, 3.
Made up of Crystal Younglove, I believe I'm pronouncing her name correctly, the indestructible woman, and Christopher the Witch Doctor, who apparently are married. Congratulations, guys. I just got engaged, actually. My fiance attended on the last Sunday. So, how is their show? They did a couple of new acts. Christopher's inspired by classic mythos. Usually for mythos that's unusual, like, things that you don't normally hear about. And of course, Crystal Younglove is an indestructible woman, and she has feats of strength and feats of endurance and things like that, and she is just adorable. At one point, actually at 2 points, they actually had me pulling on a tug of war with her right in the middle, just to show her strength, her grip strength, which is funny. Which was very funny, actually. And I say that as being the person pulling. This was pretty funny.
Now, we understand.
We understand.
That simply watching her hold 2 triangles together indefinitely because she can.
You did come to this gun show.
May not be super exciting. And so, for this round, we're going to do it a little differently. I'm going to count to 3. All of these people will begin to pull as hard as they can. And then, all of us are going to count from 10 to 0. Out loud. And if she is able to hold those triangles together when we reach 0, that is your cue to go absolutely insane. I read it in the script.
Did you write that script?
She did.
I did.
Are we ready?
Yeah!
Are we ready?
Yeah!
1, 2, 3, pull! 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was adorable. And what was I gonna say? There were other acts like, oh, I gotta give props to another guy, Sir Nigel the Black, the time traveler. He came back this year. He did a great show. Took requests actually. Mostly Sir Nigel. He called himself the time traveler. Was pulling music from like the 70s and the 80s, and occasionally, like if there was a musician in the audience, I saw this. I don't know if I got footage of it, but I did see him actually. He had a friend that was in the audience just attending, and he asked him grab the guitar, play a song with me, and they had a great little jam session. And oh my God, he did a fantastic rendition of Mad World.
Faces, watching early for the daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. The tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. On my head I want to drown my sorrow, no tomorrow, no tomorrow. Find it kind of funny, find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, cause I find it hard to see. When people run circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Want to feel the way that every child should. Sit and listen, sit and listen. Went to school and I was very nervous. No one knew me, no one knew me. Hello teacher, tell me what's my lesson. Look right through me, look right through me. I find it kind of funny, find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. Find it hard to tell you, cause I find it hard to see. When people run circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. A Lagian world. Mad world.
Other acts I got to give props to. In fact, this is one new act that I really want to give good props to, and that is, of course, Paolo Garbanzo. Paolo Garbanzo is the resident juggler, comedian, and dungeon master, which I thought was really, really fun.
Yeah!
Double flip! Oh my gosh. Twice as close to the ceiling. Double. Under the leg. There's a whole series of tricks I am so not doing in this deck. But here we are. Double. Double. Look, a monkey.
Using a lot of D&D related humor, and that tickled me just the right way. He was only there the last weekend, so you might have missed him if you wasn't there. You know, if you weren't there the last weekend, but I saw his act a couple of times, and I was enjoying it quite a bit. He said he actually may do like a Dungeons and Dragons inspired cruise trip or so through Europe, where they play Dungeons and Dragons in castles. That actually sounds pretty fun. So, who knows? That maybe I might do that. That might be interesting. Paolo, can I get a press pass? That'd be fun. Wick came back this year.
One job. with the hand up his butt. And I'm gonna try to cut off just the tip. I love how when I say that one line of the show, you can literally hear everybody turn into a 5-year-old for a second. I'm like, just the tip, they're all like, that's okay because I call this medieval sideshow.
That was the design scissor.
I can't get in trouble for that. He's pile, all kind of buns. There you go. Cutting the target, followed by a huge thunderous round of applause. All for the dragon for being brave. Or something. I'm just gonna, if I do this, I'm gonna be impressed. There we go. Cutting the target in half. I want everybody to count down 3, 2, 1 and scream ow. Because if I hit him, I don't want to hear him yet. There we go. Jeez. Everybody start counting now. 3, 2, 1.
Rick's whip show, fantastic as always, hilarious. Even Christopher the Witch Doctor was sitting in attendance on his early morning show. I think Christopher refers to it as the matinee where anything can happen. And Christopher has made it clear he wants to see that. No, yeah, we had a Sunday morning show was absolutely hilarious. With Wick, everything was just going completely off the script, and it was absolutely hilarious, and I loved every second of it.
You gonna order a pizza?
Leaving a message. Luke sounds very nice.
How long is that?
I'm Paulo Garbanzo.
The Graces, lovely as always. The Harper and the Minstrel, I believe this may be their first year. I don't remember them from previous years, although if they were there, please correct me. I'm very sorry if I am wrong. But I absolutely loved their music. I absolutely loved. It was just so pleasant to listen to. I mean, you could just sit in the tent and just listen to them play, and just absolutely love. It's just, you could just relax. You know, you could relax in the shade. They were performing. I absolutely. There it is. Just making sure I had the name right. Another act that I absolutely loved. I normally saw him performing, and I got lots of pictures of him performing in the. As you're going through the crowds and stuff like that, you might have heard music or something like that. Vince Conaway, actually, I want to give props to him. Yep, Vince Conaway and his just. You got to see this instrument here. Let me just show a picture of him playing and. I can't describe that. What you just saw, I don't have the words for, and I'm a writer. I do this for a living, and I don't know how to describe that. Except, there you go. He was great. His act, and the thing I liked about his act was not just that his music was so pleasant, so exciting. He also kind of gave a tour of the history of the instrument that he was using, and how it functioned, and what it was being used for. I'm really interested in things like that. Not just the history of like society in general, but also of things like music. Vince, I loved your act. So please come back for a future year. I'd love to see you perform again. So I think that's the majority of the acts. Again, like I said, I know that's not listing everybody's act. I know there are a lot of acts that I might have missed. Shakespeare Proves, I want to give props to. I didn't get a chance to see his act this year. I've seen him in years prior. He's hilarious. I did talk to the man. He was actually, If you want to look up the Midsummer Fantasy finale, look up the Shakespeare Approves Facebook. It's accessible. He actually live streamed the finale in his, as he does. I'm actually in that stream. I'm not performing. I'm just, you catch me. I happen to be right in front of him when he started the stream. I'm sorry, Shakespeare, for interrupting your stream. I really am. But yeah, I couldn't see his act this year because there's just there was so many acts going on at the time. But we wanted to. We'll have to. Hopefully, we'll see him next year or something. But I want to say that he was certainly working the crowds this year, as he does. And even if you didn't see his show, you probably ran into him, and he probably made you laugh. He certainly made me and my girlfriend. I'm sorry, gotta get used to this. Me and my fiance laugh, and my friends laugh, and everything. So yeah, props to Shakespeare. I'm sorry I couldn't see your act this year, but hopefully next year. I've heard nothing but, people there was talk about Shakespeare's show also going through the crowds, especially on that last day. Granny Gruesome, of course, unfortunately, I couldn't see your show again. I'm sorry, Granny. I'm so sorry. I have heard, I think Daniel called you Mom, like Daniel Greenwolf. I think Daniel Greenwolf referred to you as Mom occasionally. I don't know if you're allowing that. Just thought I'd tell you that, Granny, if you are watching this stream. Very sorry. Very sorry to tell you I missed your show. I'm so sorry. The Creepy Bard was back with a group. He was making everybody laugh. I did not get a chance to see the over 21 groups this year. Not because I am over 21. My group was over 21, but we just didn't get a chance to go visit the pub this year, so I can't comment on any of the over 21 specific acts. Let's move on a little bit to the vendors and the food. Let's break down this year's food. There was, I believe, there were fewer food vendors this year than in years prior, but the food vendors that did go this year kind of stepped up and they had more offerings this year, so it wasn't that big a deal. Obviously, you can get a pickle from the pickle vendor. That hasn't changed much. They had $2 pickles, garlic pickles, dill pickles. Oh, God, those garlic pickles went fast. Those were good garlic pickles. So they were perfect for snacks. They were, you wanted a cool... Heck, I was getting pickles instead of ice cream, basically. Those were cooling me, they were cooling me off. Dolce & Gabbana came back, speaking of ice cream. Making ice cream sundaes, brownies, selling jams and stuff like that. Fantastic. Good to see them back. Had a few choice words for me because my girlfriend, my fiance, she bought the ice cream and Dolce is just looking at me like, "You're not buying?" I'm like, "No, she wanted to buy." Yeah, I'm in that kind of relationship where occasionally I buy, occasionally she buys. It's just how it is. Other great food options. Mel's Magical Meals was probably the #1 place to eat this year at the fair. Props for them. The Kraken pie was there. I ate that. It was delicious. But they also pretty much had anything custom that you wanted, whether it be... They could basically make whatever you wanted. They had shredded chicken. They had shredded barbecue. Pork. They had beef. You could get poutine, they could make, if you wanted fries with stuff dumped on fries, basically like loaded French fries or something, they could do that. My girlfriend, she got a cheese fries with chicken on it, shredded chicken on it. She was big container. I had their Kraken pie. The barbecue pit was back this year. I can't remember the name of it. But they had a fresh barbecue. Well, fresh barbecue. They had barbecue right from the pit. This year I did try their. And the years prior I had like a pulled pork sandwich from them. This year I want to give props to They had a special mac and cheese, bacon, and pulled pork in it. Delicious. I had that on that last Sunday. I loved it. There was a turkey leg vendor that was selling turkey legs and turkey dinners. They also had, because it was just so hot, they had turkey wraps, like sliced turkey wraps and stuff like that. So they had wraps and salads and stuff as an offering this year. Certainly healthy option, certainly. But yeah, I want to give props to them for that because it's hot. You know, this summer was really hot. These days were really hot. I can't remember a cool day, at least not when I went. So I know that there were probably some people out there that'd be like hot food plus hot. Like cold food, give me cold food. So there were options for both hot food and cold food. Another group I want to give props to, the lemonade guys were back this year. I did not have a lemonade this year, so I can't comment. My girlfriend did. Another group I want to give props to that was there. They weren't a food vendor, but technically they were. The Auntie Irwin's spices were back. And you could buy custom spices of any type you wanted, including the super duper hot stuff. And yeah, their ghost pepper goes quickly. So if you want something their hottest, it's the ghost pepper. And there may be a line for it. So just be aware of that. Props to Auntie Irwin. Didn't need anything from there this year because they give you stuff in like big containers, or at least big enough containers, that I was like, I still have some containers of my spices from years prior, and of course I still use them, of course, you know, I still haven't gone through them, so props there certainly. I want to talk about the vendors this year for, you know, goods and stuff like that. There were two vendors in particular that I want to give props to. I believe they were new this year, so I just want to give props to. Now, obviously, there were groups that were back this year that really don't need any introduction. They've been in a lot of groups. Edged Beauty, of course, the weaponsmith was back. You could buy weapons. Yeah, let me just show you some pictures. Let me just show you some pictures of what we've got. All right, there's one or two I actually want to single out. At least for this year. The Dragon's Lair was there this year. I believe this was their first year. It certainly was the first year that I had seen them. Now, I know the Dragon's Lair because the Dragon's Lair is actually where I learned how to play D&D. I actually went to Dragon's Lair. The Dragon's Lair is a store that's in the next town over. They're in, if you want to look up the Dragon's Lair, they're in Wallingford, Connecticut. That's where their base of operations is, if you will. And they're open pretty much 6 days a week. You can go, you can pretty much get, you know, books on any, you know, role-playing game. They sell board games. They sell, you know, they don't really sell collectibles, but they sell, like, you know, figurines for, like, things like Warhammer and stuff like that. They sell dice. And this year they were there selling, like, all kinds of Dungeons and Dragons stuff, starter sets, board games, dice bags, dice trays so you can roll dice out. All kinds of cool stuff this year. It was really nice to see them because I felt that Dragon's Lair is, how do I put this? I always felt that the fair itself was inspired by D&D, by RPGs and by the fantasy realms, if you will. And what does Dragon's Lair sell? The books, the board games, the goods that you need to play these games when the fair is over. And yes, there were people playing Dungeons and Dragons on the fairgrounds. I saw it. It was really nice to see actually that people were actually playing Dungeons. Perfect setting for Dungeons and Dragons, certainly. So Dragon's Lair, I felt was you know, great. Definitely belonged there, certainly. My girlfriend, I when I first went, I said, again, I keep calling her my girlfriend. She's my fiance. I saw there was a vendor selling like mermaid inspired clothing and mermaid inspired, you know, jewelry and stuff. When I first looked at that place, I was like, my fiance is gonna wanna shop there. She's gonna want to buy a dress from there or something. She did. She bought a dress from them and she loved it. She's wearing it all the time now. She freaking loves it. She's like, it's comfortable. It looks great on her. I'll have to ask permission if I can show a picture. But yeah, no, she got a dress from them and some jewelry from them on a sale, and she was very happy with what she got. She looked like a pretty mermaid. It was adorable. It is adorable. Another vendor I want to bring up, Critically Clean, soap manufacturer for gamers. I bought soap from them this year. I bought soap for my mother. I bought soap for my girlfriend. My girlfriend bought soap for me. I don't know what that tells you. This is what I bought the women in my life from Critically Clean. You must lather your party before venturing forth. Well, let's see what we got here. First up, I got this this is a purple bar of soap. This is chocolate. This is a chocolate scented, infused bar of soap that is for my fiance, Princess Angel. And I got this bar of soap. Trust me, I know my mother. This blue bar of soap here, which is a mixture of lavender and chamomile, which just smells absolutely freaking wonderful, is going to be for my mother. My mother loves lavender. It's one of her favorite smells in the whole wide world. So I had to get her lavender soap, and this is what I got her. And plus, it does look cool. Blue color. Now, that's what their soap looks like. You're probably going to ask yourself, well, how good was the soap if you tried to use it? Damn good. My girlfriend bought me one of their D20 shaped soaps that was kind of like scented like alcohol and tobacco. And it is fantastic soap. I've never used artisan soap before, at least not like professionally. I may have maybe once or twice or something I might have used it. But 9 times out of 10, or pretty much 10 times out of 10, maybe 9.999 times out of 10, I typically just use, regular bar soap, like Dial soap or something along those lines. This stuff was better. Oh my God, this stuff was better. It smelled better. It cleaned better. I don't know what's in their soap, but they make soap very well. It doesn't just look good, it cleans really good. So I want to give absolute props to them as a happy customer. So yeah, props to Critically Clean. They had other kinds of vendors out there. They had the leather vendors were back. They had a corset vendor there. I was kind of hoping my girlfriend would, my fiance, I thought maybe she might shop there. She's like, well, I kind of have a lot of corsets right now. I'm not really in the market for for new corsets. So that's why she ended up getting the mermaid dress, because she didn't have anything like that. But for corset, for people that would want corsets or needed corsets, that would be the place where you'd want to go. I don't remember any Kilt Sellers this year. I could be wrong about that. I did notice there were a lot of different kinds of vendors. They had like magic wands, wooden sword vendors. That was really cool. So more vendors than I could actually. They were vendors selling stones, vendors selling chain mail or plate mail. Amazing stuff. All kinds of stuff. I'm sure if you were there, my sister went and she bought soap. Ironically enough, not from Critically Clean. They had another soap vendor that they bought. Oh, they had a kiln. There was a vendor that had a kiln, a full-on kiln, where you could actually make your own pottery and then it would be ready in an hour. That was awesome. So much stuff. So much stuff. I mean, I could literally go through this whole thing. I mean, look at all these guys. These were just some of the vendors and the artisans that were there. Look at all this stuff. There was a scavenger hunt. I did not participate in the scavenger hunt. Obviously, if I was there to talk to the people involved in the scavenger hunt, then I felt like that would be a kid would have to wait behind me to get whatever it was information that they needed. So I didn't participate, but they did have some characters walking around, lots of characters walking around that were involved in the part of the group. And it was fun to see. It was fun to see them, negotiate with attendees for information about the Scavenger Hunt, which was really cool. They had a gazebo full of wizards, which was their ye old Pokemon Center, which was perfect, by the way. The GPS coordinates were slightly off. There actually was an actual Pokemon Go Pokestop there on site at the Warsaw Park. It was actually near one of the stages. I'm trying to remember which stage it was being used for. Let me check the map really quick. It was near the Wyvern stage, the Wyvern stage. It was pretty. That's where the Pokestop was. There were tons of Pokemon references throughout the group. Basically throughout the event itself, there were tons of Pokemon references. So just awesome right there. So I kind of been rambling on for about a half hour now. That's not even including all the footage you've probably seen of the fair itself. Needless to say, I had a great time. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, you're probably wondering, well, am I going to talk about the finale? I talked about the finale last year. Will I talk about this year's finale? I certainly was in attendance. The answer is no. I don't really want to talk about the finale because, like I said, you can actually watch the finale on Facebook if you're interested in seeing the finale for yourself, particularly because they actually had to delay the finale. The finale had to be done differently this year because... how do I put this? There was weather. There was a lightning storm on the Saturday that they were preparing to do the trick, to do the big finale. Daniel Greenwolf and Wick, and the lightning prevented them from doing it. They just could not do it. And so they decided we're gonna do it on the last day. We're gonna do it on Sunday, and they did. And it was Daniel Greenwolf and Wick were up there on a. We're going to put you on a pyre. We're going to light this fuse, and it's going to basically burn the pyre. And I'm thinking there's going to be one of two things going to happen. One, there's going to be a death-defying stunt jump at the end. Or two, we're going to see the Wicker Man live right now. Like I said, look up Shakespeare Approves YouTube, not YouTube channel, Facebook channel, and watch the live stream of that. I'm in it. It was a great finale. I won't go into too much specifics about it, but needless to say, it was a great finale. I watched it on the last day. I came back. I watched it on the last day, and it was great. It was a great show. Would I recommend this fair again? I'm going back next year. I can tell you that. This fair is close to my heart for a lot of ways. I've always held this fair as the gold standard for fairs in general. I first started attending this fair. It was the right fair at the right time for me. I started attending just as I was getting interested in RPGs and tabletop games, and my girlfriend has always been into cosplay and fairs and stuff like that, and she had a great time too. Fiance. Sorry, honey. I will fix this eventually. I'm coming back next year. I hope to see you guys there next year. Props to all the acts. If I missed anybody, I am so sorry. There was just so much going on this year. And like I said, I attended 4 out of the 6 shows. And I still didn't get a chance to see everything because it was just so much to see. But yeah, I had a great time. Everything, even though I still enjoyed every second of it. So, hope to see you guys there next year if you're attending. It's, like I said, Midsummer Fantasy Renaissance Faire. It'll be held in Warsaw Park in Ansonia next year in the state of Connecticut. Hope to see you there next time. Till next time, this is Maniac with GameAccess.net. Take care. Over and out.